Impact Team.
Approaching 7:10 right now as we go to break. A reminder, Scouting for Food is supposed to start tomorrow, but given the forecast, you might want to be just a little patient with the Scouts. We've been teaming up with them for 34 years now. They're supposed to head out tomorrow in the next few days to drop off those door tags. If you get one, make sure you put out food. They'll pick it up the next Saturday. Fingers crossed with the forecast. If you don't, though, perhaps the easiest way is to text Scout for Food to 50155. You can help that way, too.
The time is now 7:12. There has not been a time given for a vote to avoid a partial government shutdown, with U.S. senators struggling to find agreement after President Trump and Democrats signaled they had a deal.
That word comes as Border Czar Tom Homan spoke publicly for the first time since arriving in Minneapolis, saying he's looking to de-escalate tensions there in that city. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
Shutdown struggles re-emerging on Capitol Hill as overnight a plan to fast-track a government funding vote hit a snag in the Senate, with at least one senator objecting, just hours after President Trump announced a deal had been reached.
We've gotten along very well. We're working on trying to get it to stay open.
5 sources say the plan was to pass a chunk of government funding while splitting off the Department of Homeland Security and taking 2 weeks to negotiate immigration enforcement reforms Democrats are demanding, including ending roving raids and no agents in masks. Bipartisan lawmakers have signaled a willingness to negotiate.
To make sure that we rein in ICE appropriately and make it more professional.
Congress must stop them.
President Trump overnight appearing to shift course again on his administration's response in Minneapolis, asked if immigration enforcement agents would soon start pulling out.
No, not at all.
That after earlier in the day, his border czar, Tom Homan, said this.
My main focus now is drawdown.
Adding that reducing federal manpower in the city depends on cooperation with state and local law enforcement for more targeted migrant removals, focusing in jails and prisons.
The mission is going to improve.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry in Washington pressing for a full federal pullout and an overhaul of officer conduct as his city reels from this month's deadly shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
People can see with their own eyes how the funding for ICE is being utilized right now, and it's not creating safety in our communities, it's causing chaos.
If the Senate does reach a government funding agreement before tonight's midnight shutdown deadline, it still has to go back to the House, and they're not in Washington right now. A brief weekend partial shutdown is unlikely to cause major problems, but they'll need to act fast with transportation funding part of what's on the line. That could mean more airport delays coming. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
President Trump joined First Lady Melania Trump at the premiere of her self-titled documentary. The glitzy event at the Kennedy Center marked the launch of the documentary Melania, 20 Days to History, which has drawn skepticism and criticism. For the First Lady, who has typically maintained a lower profile, it was her big screen moment. The First Lady took the stage to introduce her film, thanking her husband, among others.
And finally, to everyone else here, and in theaters across the country on this historic evening, I cherish you. It's an honor to be together for the world premiere of Melania. Enjoy.
Now, the film rolls out on more than 1,500 screens in the U.S. and Canada this weekend.
A once fading dining trend may be piling its plate high again. Stay tuned to see how big the comeback may be.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Well, check this out. We are up in New York right now. Well, this video is. This is New York ferry services suspended their service across all routes due to ice in the Hudson River. That's right. This is the coldest stretch in the city has had in 8 years. And the ice appears to be more on the New York side than the New Jersey side. When the temperature drops below 30 and there's weak tides and a half moon, that's the perfect recipe for ice on the river. And when you say temperatures below 30, they've had much colder temperatures than that. The only ferry that's operating right now is the Staten Island ferry because it's so much bigger than a typical ferry. And what a situation there. And I want to focus in on the temperature. So check this out. -1. That's going to be our futurecast temperature by 7 a.m. tomorrow. Meanwhile, we're rocking the lower 20s. But yeah, you're talking about some significant ice on the Hudson River where our maximum temperatures are still 12 to 15 degrees up in NYC. Same thing up in Boston, Massachusetts, even in some zeros in upstate New York. So this is bone chilling. Temperatures by Sunday morning, -1 in Louisville, 8 degrees over in NYC. And again, this is futurecast temperatures, not even factoring the wind chills as well. So they're going to be staying quite cold and below freezing for multiple days going forward. And we're at least back above freezing. We're 39 degrees. We'd be so thankful on Tuesday. But look at New York, still the 20s, the teens, and the single digits pretty much going for the rest of this week. So not what you want to see. I actually want to go to downtown Monroe real quick, and I want to show you something. Check it out. We can see the road preparations. So this isn't just random lines. This is actually lines of brine that they have put down. They're doing that all over the city right now. As long as temperatures are above 20 degrees, brine is very effective initially. But then once you get so much snow, it's going to compile itself on top of it, and then the brine is pretty much useless. It always buys us extra time. So I think earlier in the morning, it's going to be okay, but then conditions will continue to go downhill for the rest of today. So our futurecast, let's get right to it. We see snow arrive. It sticks here pretty much all day long, and it's out of here by the evening. So that was quickly in and out, and you might be saying, oh, that was pretty quick. No, I really want to factor in the hours that this is going to be here. So let me rewind real quick. Okay, so check this out. We see our first signs of snow arrive in the mountains, and then it really starts to take over the Charlotte area, I think anywhere between about 2 and 6 a.m., and then beyond that. So let's just go 6 a.m. So let's say that's the latest that it starts. It's barely coming down. 6 o'clock to noon, that's 6 hours. Then, if we move that to about 6 p.m., we're still seeing snow. That's 12 hours, and we could even keep it around as long as up until midnight. So you're talking about 18 hours of a snowfall. And if you're picking up at even a quarter to a half inch of snow during that stretch of the entire time, my totals that I have might be even too small. So I just wanted to keep that in mind, that there is still a good possibility that we might even have to raise these a little bit more. Dry air is the only thing that's going to save us. If we can get some of that, then that'll reduce our totals, but you're still looking at least a significant snowfall, about 2 to 3 inches. So your winter storm timeline, wrapping all this up, we're pretty much going to see that snow really start arriving in our area after midnight. So that's my main window, after midnight. Pretty much midnight to midnight, that's where you see most of the snow and the impacts. Snow is going to be around most of the day on Saturday and Saturday afternoon. Then by Saturday night, that's where snow is ending. So I think the earliest we see snow end is about 6 p.m. The latest is going to be about 2 a.m. And then that very cold air is going to sink in behind that. On Sunday, temperatures are staying below freezing. We might be able to touch that freezing point or slightly above. And then we're also going to have some below zero wind chills starting off the day. So for shoveling, I would highly recommend waiting until the winds start to die down. So a lot of people are going to be shoveling. Luckily, it's a little bit lighter snow. But hey, if you get 6 to 9 inches of snow is what we're looking at for the upper bounds, especially in the eastern Carolinas, that is still no fun. So the first time that we really had a significant shoveling snow is upon us starting tomorrow. Stay safe, be prepared, and also stay safe on your morning commute because Majestic already has some problems.
Yeah, we've been following this now for a while. Just want to give you another update. This is I-77 near LaSalle. One lane is currently blocked because of that truck that lost control of his vehicle, ended up in the median, and you can see a couple of police officers there on scene, a tow truck driver trying to get everything all in control and clear. Now, the good news is we aren't seeing significant impacts with this. Notice those other lanes are still moving. They might just be moving a little slower than they typically would be. This is where it's at, I-77 north at I-85, so between Statesville Ave and LaSalle. This is a final look right there of that ongoing accident, I-77 near LaSalle. Again, once we're heading into our second crash, this is another one I've been following. Still seeing some minor delays, I-85 southbound at Poplar Tent Road. Not seeing as much as I did about 10 to 15 minutes ago, so seeing some improvements, but nonetheless, keep this in mind as you're heading out for your Friday morning commute.
7:23 right now. Buffets are making a surprising comeback, becoming one of the hottest dining trends again this year.
After years of pandemic-driven decline, more Americans are returning to the all-you-can-eat experience for the variety, value, and nostalgia. Searches for buffet options are climbing, and big chains are reporting stronger sales as diners look for more affordable ways to feed the whole family. Newer concepts like all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue and hot pot are also drawing big crowds. For many, the mix of choice, convenience, and cost makes buffets hard to resist.
I get it. If you're like me and you like variety, that's a great way. I think, so to help you get over the mental block of buffets sometimes, if they have somebody that serves you, so not everybody is sort of grab handing the yeast rolls and then I think it helps make it a little bit more.
It's kind of a stomachache waiting to happen for me. And if I had to pick between the two, I think I'd rather just have one good solid meal.
Yes.
Instead of like maybe not great as quality food and have a whole lot of it.
I get that too.
I feel like the pandemic messed up buffets for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
because you want to hope that everybody's washing their hands.
And you know they don't. Lisa, you know they don't. That's the problem. That's why I said to have it like a third party. That, like,
somebody giving it to you, yeah.
All right, live pictures right now over uptown. Here's hoping you're washing your hands. Temperature is 26 degrees. Just wait till you see that weekend forecast. Chris staying by with the latest snow totals next.
Plain and simple, today is okay, tomorrow not so much. But if you love the snow, make it a good snow day. Be safe. Temperatures either side of 40 degrees. Look at that. We still have ice that's left over here on one of the turns at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And there's a lot of shaded areas that still have that, and we're putting more snow on top of that. We'll have a chance for some sunshine intermittently throughout the day, but then all in all, the clouds are winning out as our next system's rolling in. Here's what you care about. How much snow am I going to get? Well, most recent update I had was about an hour ago. I think we're calling for 4 to 7 inches across our area. The bust potential is still 2 to 3, so that really shows something. And there's even a chance we could have a few isolated areas even more than that. So yeah, 4 to 7 inches. I think 4 is the new benchmark for what we're going to see here in the Charlotte area. As far as the arrival time, we are fine today. It's after midnight we see our first signs of snow that start to work its way in, and then eventually takes over. But we already have some problems on the roads. Majestic, what's going on this morning?
Good morning, everyone. This is I-77 at mile marker 12 out near LaSalle, where you can see a truck lost control of his vehicle, slid into the median, and we have a couple of police officers there on scene. One lane will be blocked because of that ongoing incident. All other lanes not being impacted by that. Maybe a little bit of slow moving traffic, but that's one thing you need to know before you head out this morning.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30 on this Friday. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. All eyes on your weather impact forecast as we head into the weekend. Chris joining us right now with his updated snow totals.
First off, we always have the chance that something goes wrong. But I'm letting you know, because some people are saying with dry air is going to eat up, we're not going to see anything. You're going to see something. 2 inches is my bust mode. If you only get 2 inches of snow by the end of this, I'm sorry. That means we really messed up. But our forecast right now, and I've moved it up even from what we were calling for yesterday and last night, 4 to 7 inches across the area. The only thing that's going to bring this down is if all of a sudden we see over the next 12 to 18 hours some dry air is working its way back in. It limits the duration. But we even have a chance for a boom that goes outside of this, that some areas see over 8 inches of snow. The last time that we even had over 6 inches of snowfall, by the way, 2004. It's been over 20 years since we've even had the potential for this range. Here's my new updated snow potential map that Ben was teasing. I officially updated this at 6:30, and I don't think I'm going to move for the rest of the morning. There was a lot of changes that I was seeing mainly here and down here. But for us here in the middle, the main thing I did was I saw a general consensus that 4 to 7 inches is pretty much going to bank. Now, this is going to be a really dry snow, but that also is a fluffier snow that adds up more. So you got to keep that in mind. It's also blowing around, so it's tough to measure it. So it might actually, we might get measurements up to a foot of snow, but that might be a snowdrift. So kind of keep that in mind if you are trying to measure what's going on. Whenever you do that, you usually have to have a solid piece of plywood and things that are blocking the wind. So just keep that in mind. Overall, 4 to 7 inches with a chance for a couple of boom areas across the area. And I want to show you exactly what it looks like on the Futurecast that I trust the most. What's happening is we have what's called a meso load that's going to move in here, and that's going to provide a lot of snow, first firing right along the Tennessee border, and then we have this little swath that digs in here. That's where we're seeing most of ours. And then there's a little bit of a break in between the two systems that we're also talking about a coastal low, that we're talking about major impacts out there because of coastal flooding, beach erosion. This is the type of deal that picks up winds up to 75 miles per hour. Meanwhile, we're dealing with wind gusts up to 35 miles per hour. But in between these two systems, the biggest bust potential that we have here in the Carolinas is right in here. So that's why I brought totals down, that there's a chance that we could have a division between these two systems that eventually going to fill in the gaps right through this section between Highway 73, 74, and 95. Just, I want everyone to know that 4 inches is looking like a really good bet. Right now, wind chills at 21 degrees around Charlotte, 24 around Lincolnton. Factor in our real temperature, it's 26 degrees. And this is pretty much giving us an idea where it is right now about how it's going to feel temperature-wise, at least for the actual air temperature through the course of tomorrow. But then tomorrow, I actually have temperatures that are looking to hover a little bit more, especially with that fresh snow-cooled air in the lower 20s most of the day. Now, here is the staggering part of our forecast before I get to our Futurecast hour by hour. Our wind chills are going to be extreme, with a chance of wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour, and that's what we have to factor in here. By midnight tonight, it feels like 6 in Boone, 16 in Hickory, and 19 degrees in Charlotte. But if we have those temperatures in the lower 20s and we're factoring in winds at 20 to 30 miles per hour, and this is mainly the gusts, you could feel as cold as 2 to 11 for actual real feel on Saturday. Say around, let's actually put it right in the middle, around noon, when it might be peak sledding time for a lot of the kids. They're creating their own wind chills sledding, by the way. It feels like 5 to 10 degrees across the area. Now, if the wind is not actively blowing wherever you are, you're not going to feel this. But I also want parents to really keep this in mind if they're going to be going out and playing. Because let's be honest, a lot of adults, if you don't have kids, you're probably not going to go out in the snow. That's probably the way that it works. For me, I will be out there having a blast. I remember before JT, I would go in the snow, oh, check this out. As a meteorologist, I'd probably play a little bit more than most, but this is going to be the deal that I think is a lot of parents and people have to prepare for about how cold it could actually feel, not so much just the snow in general, because those wind gusts, this is going to show your wind gust forecast as well as the snow as well, are going to be anywhere from about 20 to 30 miles per hour on and off throughout the day. So here's what it looks like. Snow first arrives anywhere between about 2 to 6 a.m. for the Charlotte area, and then it takes over for hours. There could be some breaks here and there. That's the only thing that's going to limit our snow totals, but we're looking at a sizable snow accumulation anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch per hour minimum. Some areas even 1 inch per hour, and that's where you're going to have some of those boom forecasts, or what did I think or Lisa referred to as the snow jackpots. Yeah, so was that Ben? I'll credit both of them. But no matter what, the snow jackpots that you're going to have in here could essentially be over 8 inches, where you're seeing some of those darker colors start to set up. Then this eventually winds down through the evening. I think the earliest that it ends is right around sunset. The latest is going to end is a little bit closer to midnight, and that is a long snow duration, and that's why we have 4 to 7 inches across the area, with the chance of some seeing a little bit more. All right, there it is. Also big cold behind it. I'll talk about more about that coming up. First, Majestic has a big traffic issue to mention.
Yeah, we're just watching this crash here. It's on I-77, mile marker 12, out near LaSalle. I've had my eyes on it now for over an hour. It's that truck that lost control of his vehicle, spun out, ended up in the middle of that median there. You can see they're trying to get that car or the truck out of the median, but at this point, I'm not seeing really any big traffic concerns around it. All lanes are going to be open and moving just fine there. Another thing, though, to keep in mind as you're heading out the door is that areas to the south of us. It's been busy, and I want to show you our newest crash. Again, this is the one we just showed you. Let me get to our new one here. Hold on 1 second. There we go. This is the one that I'm talking about. That's going to be our newest crash. It's going to be a lane that's blocked because of it. Plaza Midwood on Hawthorne Lane westbound at Central Ave. I'm seeing delays coming in all directions, so likely right there at the intersection. I'm going to see if we have any pictures coming in of that crash, and we'll have another update on everything else coming up soon. Guys.
Well, this morning, power crews are in prep mode once again.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning in West Charlotte to share how 2 energy companies are working to keep the lights on. Destiny.
Yeah, Duke Energy and Blue Ridge Energy say that ice will be ice was harder to deal with than the snow will be this weekend. But they also say the strong winds and the cold air will be a challenge when it comes to power outages, and also this storm happening so soon after the last one. Now, our energy crews across our area, they have already been restocking supplies and getting equipment ready ahead of the weekend. Duke Energy warns tree limbs may already be weakened from the last winter storm, and high winds could bring them down. In the foothills and mountains, Blue Ridge Energy says they're preparing for what comes after the snow falls.
We are good to go. We've just sort of been in a state of readiness since that storm, and then kind of continue that over into this week now that we know that this storm was on the way. What we're looking for after the storm are the strong winds on the backside, so that could push some trees over. So obviously making sure chainsaws are ready, trucks are ready to go in the snow.
Both companies say if you can stay home, that helps everyone. And while you're at home, they recommend sealing any drafts, using space heaters carefully, and setting your thermostat a little lower, but still comfortable to save on energy. And they also say snow-related outages don't just happen because of the weather. There's also traffic, vehicles accidentally sliding into utility poles. So make sure that you're staying safe if you do have to go out. But again, the best thing to do is to stay off the roads, mainly so crews can navigate and respond safely and efficiently. Live this morning in West Charlotte, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
So here's the deal. So no, it's not as serious as the ice event we saw last week as far as power outages.
Right.
But golly, if you lose power, the cold
yes.
that we're going to face this weekend is going to be serious. So finger crossed. Those power lines stay up.
For sure, and do be careful if you have to go out. Road crews, in fact, are ramping up their operations again this morning. In South Carolina, the Department of Transportation is already out treating the roads, while more snow than ice is expected again this weekend. SCDOT leaders urging drivers use caution when you're out in that winter weather.
What we encourage the public to do is to be very cautious when they're getting on and off the roadways, recognize there will be snow and ice on the roadways, to be cautious and to safe. It's going to take us time to get things reopened across the state.
Officials also reminding you to dress warmly and make sure that you store an emergency kit in your car just in case you get stuck. A heads up for shoppers, the Charlotte Regional Farmers Market shifting its schedule due to the winter weather expected tomorrow. The market will open today from noon until 4 on Yorkmont Road.
With this storm, the North Carolina coast could see some major weather impacts. OBX News' Sam Walker joined us here on WCNC Plus and discussed the concerns, especially surrounding the wind that could come.
That's going to create some problems along areas that have really taken a pounding over the last few years, and especially back in the late summer and early fall, as you mentioned, Chantal. Aaron, then the back-to-backers with the waves. But we also had back then, we had a whole series of extended northeast blows where winds were at 20 to 40 miles an hour, really from the beginning of August right on through until about the second week of October.
And if you have to go outside for any reason, of course, you do have to make sure that you are dressed properly in this extreme cold, especially with that wind. You should have a hat, gloves, multiple layers, and warm boots that are waterproof.
Health officials overseas on high alert, responding to a situation that's quickly drawing international attention. What they've uncovered up next.
.43 now. Welcome back to WCNC Plus. A live look over the uptown this morning. The temperature's right now 26 with 5-mile-per-hour winds. It feels like 21 this morning. Chris, of course, is going to have a check of your forecast in just a few minutes ahead of another weather impact alert weekend. This time we are talking about snow, and make sure you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. As the snow starts to roll in, we'll have coverage for you streaming live.
Now to a recall you should know when it comes to multivitamins. Bottles of Mind Body Greens Ultimate Multivitamin Plus Dietary Supplement are being taken off store shelves. This is what it looks like. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the bottles do not have proper child-resistant packaging. No illnesses or serious incidents have been reported. Mind Body Green is providing free child-resistant replacement caps. For more information, you can go to the cpsc.com or .gov website. Indian authorities investigating a Nipah virus outbreak after confirming 2 cases.
Nipah spreads through fruit bats, pigs, and human-to-human contact, and there is no vaccine for this virus, with a high estimated death rate, making it far more deadly than coronavirus. Here's NBC's Janice Mackey-Frayer.
This is a highly contagious virus between humans, and it's often deadly. The 2 cases of Nipah virus were detected in India in the state of West Bengal, but there are concerns the outbreak could spread. The virus has a fatality rate of 40 to 75%, according to the World Health Organization, deadlier than the COVID virus, and there's no vaccine for Nipah. So authorities in India are taking no chances. At the same time, several airports across Asia, in Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, and Hong Kong, are taking steps to screen passengers for any symptoms. Nipah is a zoonotic virus that's transmitted from animals, usually fruit bats, and doesn't spread easily to humans. It can also come from contaminated food. And when it does hit, it initially feels like the flu, then worsens. Experts say pneumonia and other respiratory symptoms can develop. But the most serious complication is encephalitis, or inflammation of the brain. The WHO says the fatality rate has a lot to do with the country's capacity to test, trace, and treat those infected. In India, authorities have quarantined nearly 200 people who may have come into contact with the two infected. It's the first time in nearly 20 years that India has had cases, but they believe the outbreak is now contained. Still, it's a situation that U.S. health officials are watching very closely, the CDC saying they're ready to assist if needed. Janice Mackey-Ferrer, NBC News, Beijing.
A new poll from a health research organization shows the cost of health care is the top economic worry for many Americans. It's a concern for 2/3 of the participants, that number higher than those for utilities, food and groceries, housing and gas. The poll shows that most adults face higher medical costs and think Congress should not have let the expanded Obamacare subsidies expire. About 1 million fewer people are using the Affordable Care Act coverage now compared to last year.
A new study published Thursday in the journal Science suggests if you want to know how long you're going to live, you may want to just look at your family tree. Researchers analyzed more than a century of twin data, but much of it came from people born between the 19th century, when accidents and disease often shortened lives unexpectedly. After removing those early life risks, they found that genetics account for more than half of a person's lifespan. The rest shaped by outside factors like your lifestyle, social connections, which can shift lifespan by about 5 years. 7:46 right now. Today might inspire you to break the rhythm of your usual workday. We'll tell you about National Fun at Work Day next.
Welcome everybody. So let's look at a little bit of ice climbing, but this was actually closer than you think. So guess where this is? Any guesses? Fox Mountain. And if you don't know where Fox Mountain is, it's actually around northern Iredell County. So this close to home, you have people that are ice climbing, and that shows how cold it is. Because think about it. We've had temperatures, yes, they have been getting into the 40s, but it is cold enough that people are able to pull out all the stops, as you can see here over Ice Mountain. Now, what's happening here is, especially for that ice wall there, is we've had a lot of melting because of the sun in general, and then it refreezes, so you have that nice little cascading there. So it's not the highest ice, but if you go through the big aerial view here, that's pretty substantial there. So ice climbing actually happening here in North Carolina. That shows how cold it is. And show you a better representation. Here is where Fox Mountain is right near Love Valley. And for our viewing area, our northern viewing area is Alexander and Iredell County. It's pretty much there, northwest of Statesville. So well north of Charlotte, but hey, it's still cold enough for all that jazz. All right, let's get right to our snow totals. I'm gonna repeat myself because this is what you all care about. Our most recent update, the one that I tweaked the maps, was at 6:30. I think we maybe could change this if we start to get more information about drier air or anything like that. But all in all, you're looking at over 12 hours of snow that will be heavy at times. So 4 to 7 inches, I think is a good bet, with some isolated boom amounts, or as we call it, the snow jackpot here and there. That's actually why I give a little sliver of purple. It's just too tough to predict wherever those snow squalls are going to set up, but we will have reduced visibility at that time, because not only are you having some heavier snow that is going to reduce visibilities, but then we also have the winds. So focusing in here on the numbers, for one, today 5 to 10 mile per hour breeze, not that big of a deal. Clouds are eventually taking over by this evening, but there's an outside chance that we will have some on and off sunshine today. Already some bright spots here and there depending where you're looking. But our first signs of snow really starting to move in really to the northwest around the Tennessee border as early as 4 o'clock. But I think it's more so the middle of this evening that it starts to flourish. Then it starts to enhance. It builds across the foothills along the I-40 corridor. And then Charlotte, I think it's going to be on our doorstep. I think it's averaging out about 4 o'clock. So that's why I'm keeping the window wide, really between about 2 and 6. So a lot of us are sleeping. But note, if there's any sort of delays with this system, you could get up at 6 o'clock, look out the window, and you're going to be a disappointed Debbie. I don't want that for you. Just letting you know that if there's any sort of change, it would just be maybe a delay on the onset. But I think at least at that point, if you're getting up around sunrise, say 7 o'clock, that you're already starting to see at least a coating of snow across the area, and then it continues to build throughout this time frame. So you're going to continue to see more and more snow, and it's that cooled air behind this that it causes some of the colder temperatures. Check this out. We are going to have a low of 7 degrees heading into your Monday morning, because that snowfall makes it about 2 to 7 degrees colder at night. That's why I have 7 degrees on Monday morning. Sunshine returns for your Groundhog Day. So likely the groundhog's going to see his shadow, which is not good news, at least for our local groundhogs. After that, mix of the 40s with another chance of winter precip Wednesday into Thursday. But I'm not going to talk about that right now. Let's get through this snowstorm first before we move on to the next one. All right. Majestic not moving on to the next incident, but you got some activity going on right now.
Yeah, we definitely do. This is still the accident that we've been talking about for over an hour. I-77 near mile marker 12. That's out near LaSalle. You can see a tow truck is trying to get that truck that lost control of his vehicle, ended up in the median, trying to get it removed and taken out. You can see a couple of lanes are going to be blocked as they continue to do that. But other than that, I'm not seeing a big delay or anything in that regard. Once we switch it over to my map, this is where it's been. Not seeing as many colors as we have seen over the last 10 to 20 minutes even, out towards exit 12 to 13. Once we're heading south of Uptown, we have a lane blockage in Plaza Midwood. This is going to be on Hawthorne Lane at Central Ave, so a very well-trafficked area. And then again, a lane blockage right there because of an ongoing crash. Slow-moving traffic right around it. We'll have another update coming up soon.
All right, Majestic, thank you for that.
Well, it is National Fun at Work Day, a chance to shake up the routine and bring a little joy into your office. Since so many of us spend a big part of our lives at work, today is all about finding the small ways to make it more enjoyable.
Folks marking the day with everything from chili cook-offs to boss lookalike contests. Careful with that one. Even quick games set up in the break room. Just make sure whatever you do gets the green light from your boss. Or better yet, invite them to join in on the fun. Why not? Bosses can be fun. A little fun can go a long way towards brightening the workday for everybody involved.
We always have a great time here, right?
We do.
Boss lookalike contest.
That would be odd.
Ooh.
That's a line.
I don't know about that one.
Tread carefully on that one.
Yeah.
What's the most fun you've ever had at work?
working with you all.
Probably
Right.
Halloween.
Good answer.
Probably Halloween.
Yes, Halloween in these parts is quite
Halloween's-
fun.
It's a lot.
Actually, there was one weekend show I remember that we had somebody making cake pops and we had an alpaca in the studio. So that's one of the more fun days I had. Yeah. We used to have a bunch of guests.
I will say that to that point, I hadn't thought about it, but perhaps the most fun days for me have been days that have had the full spectrum of news, whether like I'm interviewing a U.S. senator and at the same time we happen to do a cooking segment that more, or like something that like the full spectrum of what is being news is. That's always a fun day.
Food helps too.
Yes.
Good food in, that works.
Goes a long way. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Right.
Little breakfast sandwich, OJ. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Hopefully you're going to have fun at home and at work today. Right now, 27 degrees, but it feels like 19. We'll have more on your Weather Impact Alert weekend coming up. And a check of traffic. Stay with us.
Welcome everybody to our first big snowstorm that we've seen since 2018 at least. But truly, some of these snow totals, we haven't even been close to this range since 2004. That's how of a rarity this is. Now, these are all over the place, but I have now narrowed us down for our area, pretty much a range of 4 to 7 inches of snow. There'll be less around Greensboro to Raleigh, but then we also could have a 7 to 9 inch surge further off towards the east. Just letting you know that there still could be some dryer that works in that might temper some of these down, but there's some isolated, much higher totals. Here's our futurecast showing that snow is really not arriving until after midnight. Then it takes over and it'll snow for hours, pretty much from sunrise to sunset. We are looking at snow across the day. And then look where our temperatures go. 15 degrees for a low on Sunday, 7 degrees on Monday. Protect those pipes, y'all, and stay warm. All right, Majestic, take it away.
Everyone, we're heading into our Friday with this ongoing incident. This is really the biggest thing, and honestly, it's not being all that impactful for most of your morning commutes. I-77 mile marker 12, that's out near LaSalle, where they're trying to get a truck out of the median, towed out of the way. So just slower moving traffic because of that. It's going to be on I-77 northbound between exits 13 and 12. We'll have more coming up on WCNC Plus.
All eyes on that weather impact forecast as we stream live with you here on WCNC Plus at 8 a.m. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. Let's get right to meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. He has the updated snow totals for the weekend and more details on what we can expect.
Yeah, let's just start with that. For one, cold air digging in from this system off towards the north, where it's actually the power of two different weather systems that are going to control what we see across the Carolinas. And that's kind of the trickiest part. That see this little dip here in our snow totals? This right here is from the coastal low. All this in the blue and the pinks is all associated with what's happening from what's called a meso low, so an upper low that is coming from the north. These type of deals during the summertime are really tough because they can bring severe weather and they can bring widespread rain, but there's always areas and bands that most areas see say like 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of rain. The rest of them see 1 to 2 inches. And the reason why I use that as an example, that's exactly what we're going to see here. So on an average, I moved us to 4 to 7 inches. We had 3 to 6. I moved us up 1 inch. The only reason why we're going to be moving that down a little bit later on is if we are saying, okay, this dry air is going to cut off the transport of some moisture. But we're looking at snowfall pretty much from sunrise to sunset, and that's the minimum. A minimum of 12 hours of snow, which I think is going to allow for up to 18 hours of a snow duration. That is substantial here. As far as our totals further east that you go, 7 to 9 inches is going to be a possibility right along the I-95 corridor, even more so further off towards the east. The most problematic and most question mark zone is really in between Greensboro and Raleigh all the way down to Rockingham. So Rockingham, I'm mentioning you specifically here in Richmond County down to Sherrod, you're going to be kind of on the cusp that you're either seeing the maximum close to the 7 to 9 or even this 2 to 4 inch mark can start to move down. But all in all, consensus has about a 4 to 7 inch range across the area. So the last time I updated this was about an hour and a half ago. I don't think that we're really going to see any major changes that come from this, at least in the near term. Another thing I've been mentioning is about our snow chance probability. And I showed you this graphic yesterday, but I removed one spot where it says you have a chance of 0.1. That's a given because now we have a 100% chance for at least 1 inch. Where I think if we're talking about a bust zone, that means we only see 2 to 3 inches compared to more that 4 to 7. So that really shows how much things have changed. And actually in real time here, just because it gives me a possibility, I'm going to look off screen to see if there is any updated changes for some of these percentages here, because often it's about this time that we'll start to see an update as more model data starts to roll in. And I can honestly say that it looks like not much has really changed. Actually, things are trending a little bit more, I can even say, for the upper probabilities. Only about 69% for that 6 inch mark, and our 8 inch mark has moved closer to 50%. But really what all this means is that there are going to be some pockets in general of up to those higher amounts where I think in general the average across the area is going to be even closer to about 5 to 7. But I have 4 to 7 just in case some of that dry air does indeed work out. All right, let's talk about timing, right? Well, the timing I think is really after midnight. So as the kids are going to be making the snowballs and the snowmen, check it out. Do you want to build a snowman? Well, it's going to be ideal, I think, late morning heading the early afternoon as we're starting to see more and more snow accumulate. But I have to mention about the winds, and that's what this futurecast is going to show you, is not just when you're seeing snow, but what the winds are potentially going to be. And these are wind gusts, so there's always going to be a chance that there's some lulls. Today, plain and simple, I don't want to discredit, people need to know what today is. Today, 5 to 10 mile per hour winds, a high of 41. Overall cloudy, but we are seeing some signs of sunshine. Already seeing that right now, but clouds are eventually taking over. But then watch the snow arrival. We start to see a little bit more arriving close to about Lincolnton, Shelby, as early as about 1 to 3. Between about 3 and 6, that's where it's starting to push into the Charlotte area. There's still a little bit of question mark right over here, but look at how long it sticks here. This is 1 o'clock, now up to 7 o'clock, that we still could have some steady snow. It's not until later on in the evening that we're eventually getting this out of here. And with wind gusts anywhere from 25 to 35, sustained winds upwards to about 15 to 20 at times, we will have wind chills on and off in the single digits throughout the day, throughout the night, likely on Sunday morning feeling like 0, and 7 degrees is our actual low because of that snow-cooled air on Monday. So protect those pipes, people, plants, all of the above. Most likely the plants probably aren't doing too well if they've been outside anyways. After that, we're in a mix of the 40s with another chance of winter precip Wednesday to Thursday. But Jessica has been saying we'll talk about that one later.
Yeah, we can Hold off on that one for now. We got to focus on what's to come and what's happening right now. Here's live camera. This one's coming in from Blowing Rock. Mountain roads are looking much better, but of course we're getting you ready and prepared for even significant snowfall this weekend up there as well. This is what we're seeing out there in Blowing Rock, a little closer to Charlotte. I-77 out near Westinghouse. Conditions are flowing just fine overall. It's been a pretty quiet start to our Friday morning. Of course, we have our typical backups, and this right here, we have slowdowns coming in all directions, so likely it's right there in the intersection. Lane blockage, Plaza Midwood on Hawthorne Lane at Central Ave. Seeing a lot of orange there, meaning that cars are moving rather slowly, so that makes sense. If you're taking Independence inbound, we also have those delays there. 485 slow moving, especially out by Matthews. No crashes there, just a lot of people up and starting their Friday. Ben.
Well, later today, Charlotte and Mecklenburg County leaders will hold a winter weather briefing to explain how first responders and road crews are preparing for the upcoming storm. You can stream that live here on WCNC Plus at 1 o'clock. It comes as the governor declares a state of emergency here. He cautioned against getting out on the roads this weekend, but ensured if you have to, the National Guard and State Highway Patrol will be there to keep you safe.
When they see law enforcement out in the community, when they see the National Guard deployed, just say words of thanks, because if we're lucky, we're at home where it's warm. These folks are out on the streets trying to make sure that everything is safe for us when we have to go out and about.
Governor Stein speaking there. Right now, those crews are positioned across the region, ready to respond when the first snow starts flying. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us live this morning. He's in Northwest Charlotte with what the state is doing to get ready. Richard.
Yeah, good morning to you, Lisa. Good morning, Ben. Now, as you said, it's best if you don't go out when the weather gets really bad as it starts to worsen, especially Saturday morning. But if you have to take to the roads, it's important to know that there are crews working to make sure that you're as safe as you can be. With another round of potentially icy or snowy conditions expected this weekend, officials say they're confident that crews are even more prepared to respond quickly and keep drivers safe. CDOT crews say they're ready to roll on a second round of winter weather as it's expected to move into our area. The North Carolina Department of Transportation says its crews and equipment are on standby, ready to move at a moment's notice. They're focusing on keeping critical routes safe as conditions change. Pre-treatment is already underway on many interstates, major highways, and bridges, with crews closely monitoring the road surfaces, weather forecasts, as well as traffic patterns. Officials also tell us that those conditions will determine when crews switch from salt brine to plowing or additional treatments. In North Carolina, DOT says last weekend's winter weather served as a valuable test run, allowing crews to check equipment, review response plans, as well as fine-tune operations.
Our crews and contractors have been out on the roads working since before the weekend storm came in, cleared that up in the Charlotte area, and some of our guys are actually catching a little bit of a break before we ramp back up to 24/7 operations. With all the salt that was laid down both before the storm, during the storm, and even some after the storm, there's a lot of roads across the state and in the Charlotte area that actually have residual salt still on them. But NCDOT is going to go back and rebrine a lot of the interstate and bare pavement roads in the Charlotte area.
So those areas will have treatment, and that's good for drivers who are on the interstates. It'll be a slow go for them. But of course, as always is the case, those secondary roads and leading into subdivision apartment complexes, those will be the ones that'll be a lot trickier to navigate. So again, if you don't have to go out, just stay home. We're right here in Northwest Charlotte. This is Richard Devane. We'll send it back to you.
Richard, thanks so much. Something else to keep in mind, the chance for isolated power outages. If your power goes out, here are some reminders so you stay warm. Close off the rooms to avoid wasting heat in your home. You should also close your blinds and curtains to keep the heat in, and stuff towels in the cracks under your doors. Remember to eat and drink because food provides energy to warm the body. Also avoid caffeine and alcohol. Our winter weather coverage continues all day and into the weekend. Tomorrow we will have live coverage on air and streaming here on WCNC Plus. Make sure you download the WCNC Charlotte mobile app and turn on notifications so you get the latest updates from our weather impact team. Right now, an urgent search is underway for a man wanted in connection to a deadly shooting in Concord. Police say 16-year-old Raheem Glasgow Jr. is wanted in connection to the shooting that happened Monday on Kite Court. 2 people were killed. He is considered armed and dangerous. If you have any information about where he may be, call that number on your screen.
This morning, we are learning more about former Charlotte City Councilwoman Tijuana Brown pleading guilty to federal fraud charges. Brown taking to social media last night saying, quote, "There is no statement to give. The statement has already been spoken." Adding, "It's sad some of y'all thought I was going to prison." WCNC Charlotte obtained court documents Thursday showing that guilty plea. We first told you about the accusations she faced last May. Prosecutors say Brown and her 2 daughters defrauded COVID-19 relief programs, collecting more than $120,000 in federal aid. They say it spanned from April 2020 to September 2021. Brown later lost her council seat to Joy Mayo.
Before we head to break, here is an exclusive shopping deal for our viewers.
Hey, you know how we do it. Our team is always testing tons of products. We get rid of the rejects, only show you the best ones, and that's why I want to show you this thing today. It's the Tire Hero Portable Tire Inflator. Let me shut this off for a second. Literally true story, 2 weeks ago, I got stuck on the side of the road, glass in the tire. I barely made it to the gas station. Almost cost me hundreds of dollars to tow. So you need one of these anyway. The reason I think this is one of the best on the market is for this reason. Come on, and let me show you. So let's say you don't know the PSI of your car, you don't know what it's supposed to be, or if you want to inflate a ball, it does it for you. So you see the little car icon right there? You can flip through these. Okay, I want to do my car. No, I want to do my motorcycle, little motorcycle icon. I want to do my bicycle tire. Or I want to do a soccer ball or an exercise ball. I just blew these up. The other cool thing about this is this. Come on and look at this. It's got the USB adapters here. It acts as a portable battery charger, so you can charge your tablet, you can charge your phone. It also comes with all these different nozzles for kind of anything you would have. It's small enough to literally, I mean, it's a pretty packed glove compartment, right? Look at that. It still fits. Nice and easy. Got a great deal for you on this today. And by the way, you want one of these anyway. You want this anyway because you can save $60 a year for properly inflated tires. So why wouldn't you? Get this one though, because I think it's the best on the market. $69.99 normally. Got a deal for you today. 20% off down to $55.99. Scan the QR code on the screen right now or go to shoptvdeals.com.
Welcome back. Time now 8:14 here on WCNC Plus. Senate leaders scrambling to avoid a government shutdown ahead. Reed Binion reports as a midnight approaches deadline to pass funding measures.
We're working on that right now. I think we're getting close.
President Donald Trump expressing hope for a government funding deal ahead of the Friday deadline to avert a shutdown. Senate leaders reached a deal to fund critical agencies through September, but the agreement only provides temporary funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which includes Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Instead, funding DHS for 2 weeks while the parties debate broader reforms for ICE.
We need to rein in ICE and end the violence.
Democrats want DHS funding to come with changes to ICE tactics, including tightening the use of warrants, ending roving patrols, making ICE agents remove masks and wear body cameras, and enforcing a code of conduct comparable to force policies for state and local law enforcement. Even if the Senate votes Friday, final passage could be delayed till Monday, when the House of Representatives returns from recess. That makes a partial government shutdown likely this weekend, less than 3 months after the end of a record-long full shutdown. Several agencies have already been fully funded for the rest of the year, so this shutdown would look different. For example, there wouldn't be a risk of tens of millions of people losing SNAP benefits, but it could have an impact on air travel, and federal workers could miss paychecks. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are hoping that won't happen. There's a lot of earnest work going on in a bipartisan way to try to avert a shutdown. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
President Trump signed an executive order aimed at fighting drug abuse at an Oval Office event Thursday.
The order is meant to coordinate the federal government's response to drug addiction and substance abuse. The new effort treats addiction as a chronic medical disease rather than a moral failure.
Now we're taking a bold action to help Americans struggling with all forms of addiction so they can get the help and the support that they need to free themselves from the horrible burden of dependency.
The president was joined by the co-chairs of the program, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Secretary of Health, and Catherine Burgum, who have both had their own struggles with drug addiction. The 2026 Winter Olympics just 1 week away now. Chris is going to share how wintry the Winter Games will look.
.19 right now. All right, folks, get excited. We are officially 1 week away from the start of the 2026 Winter Games in Milan and Cortina, Italy. The events will be packed with athletes chasing their Olympic dreams and millions of visitors expected to travel to Italy for that competition.
The games run from February 6th through the 22nd, followed by the Paralympics. This year, though, organizers are keeping a close eye on the weather as Italy is experiencing warmer than normal temperatures. So, Chris, can you share with us what the weather is going to look like compared to other years?
Yeah, let me show you right now. What's not ideal is temperatures in the 40s and a chance for rain. Now, as far as I could go out, because we don't have the capabilities of long-range Italian forecast, but I can bring us up to at least the opening games. We're above freezing and 50 degrees. So for the opening ceremony, we have a chance for rain showers and temperatures above freezing. That's not fantastic. Now, of course, certain mountaintops will be able to create some snow, but yeah, no, this is well above the norm from what we typically will have this time of year here in Milan. So just keep that in mind. There's a chance for some rain that could lead to some icing. So the crews are going to have some work to do trying to create some of that snow where temperatures are definitely not in their favor. We need to kick those down. Now, of course, the Winter Olympics goes on for a long time, so there's a chance that you could have more of those colder setups to start to move in. Now I want to talk about cold weather alerts. I've been so focused in on the snow, and I've been mentioning how cold it's going to be, but I really did not mention that we have a technical watch that's in effect starting on Saturday evening once the snow is winding down for Sunday morning. This is a cold weather watch or an extreme cold watch where this likely is going to be upgraded to an extreme cold warning. So we've been mentioning about the extreme cold, but not the reason why that we have a watch in place. So anytime you have a chance of a wind chill at 0 or less, you're going to have an extreme cold warning. When it's around 5 below 0 or less, that's in the forecast. Shelby, Lincoln, up to Statesville, to Salisbury, you're under an extreme cold warning, and it needs to feel as cold as 15 below for it to have that impact up in the North Carolina mountains. Already for Saturday, before we get to that technical watch, we're having those wind chills that are in the single digits. Technically, this would be a cold weather advisory criteria for us, and that's on and off throughout the day. I think that when you don't have the wind blowing, it feels like the actual temperature in the lower 20s, but we're constantly seeing some of those single digit wind chills. Now, once you get to 8 p.m., we already have extreme cold warning criteria up in the mountains. As cold as 24 below. It could be -1 once you head into your Sunday morning. So wind chills are actually a major factor with this system. I don't want you to overlook it. As everyone is so focused in on the snow, then most likely, even though I don't agree with it, look at their weather app and it says the 20s. It says 20s, it says snow, they're good to go. So you have to know that you're going to be feeling like the single digits on and off throughout your Saturday night, heading into Sunday, where the coldest temperatures are definitely going to be, obviously, in the overnight and the morning periods. Now, once you get into your Monday, we're looking at 0 to 5, so just outside of that, so likely we'll at least have a cold weather advisory, maybe borderline extreme cold warning again, because I want to show you what Groundhog Day looks like. That's this coming Monday. You probably forget about it. I'm just a huge Groundhog Day enthusiast. Punxsutawney Phil, by the way, has never had so much pressure because it's not just us that are having a rough winter. The coldest we've ever been on Groundhog Day, and that is February 2nd, is 10 degrees. Back in 1917, I have a forecasted low of 7 degrees. Now, depending on how the snow is removed, how much it really falls, could bring this back up closer to that 10, but still, it'll be one of the coldest Groundhog Days of all time, and maybe in history. That's how cold we're going to be, because typically when you're behind a snowy event, it can create some record lows, and that's exactly what we're looking at. So near record temperatures or a record-breaking Groundhog Day, February 2nd on Monday. Luckily, temperatures get a little bit milder, even closer to freezing on Wednesday and Thursday. Holding on to the 20s after that. Long-range forecast for our highs, still below 50 degrees, but at least we're back into the 40s instead of 26 degrees and one of the biggest snows we've seen in the last 10 to 20 years. All right, that wraps this up. Still cold. We cannot wait for spring. And let's see how our morning commute is faring, kicking off your Friday before the snowstorm.
I-77 continues to look all right. This is what mile marker 7 looks like near Clanton. Definitely a handful of people out on those roads, but not seeing any big concerns, so I like to start the day out like that. Couple things to mention, though, as we head down to the south. This is something new. South Tryon Street inbound at General Drive is backed up to Carowinds Boulevard. So you can see we do have a stalled vehicle right there. Here's a picture that I just got into my traffic inbox of that stalled vehicle. Looks like an Amazon truck to me, so keep that in mind. We have slow-moving traffic right around this area. Guys.
8:24 right now on WCNC Plus. Live pictures right now from our WCNC tower camera over uptown. Temperature right now 27. Feels like 19. It's going to feel balmy compared to some of the temperatures we're going to see over the next few days. Snow aside, wind aside, it is going to be bitterly cold. Another check of that forecast up next, right here on WCNC Plus.
Welcome everybody. Overall, mostly cloudy start to the day. We'll see some signs of sunshine here and there, but the clouds definitely winning out. 27 degrees, well, it actually feels like 19 with that breeze. And the breeze isn't even all that fast, only about 5 to 10 miles per hour. But boy, is that going to change. We still have some ice here to turn on Charlotte Motor Speedway, so we can put more snow on top of that. Welcome to a winter wonderland come tomorrow. 41 degrees for a high today. All in all, a overcast to a mostly cloudy one. We'll see a little bit more sunshine for the afternoon before the clouds take over. Plain and simple, one thing to know, we have 4 to 7 inches across the Charlotte area, but wind chills could range as cold as 5 to 10 degrees through your Saturday, and then even colder heading into Sunday morning. That's where we have a low of 15, feeling like 0 or colder, 7 degrees for one of the coldest Groundhog Days of all time here in Charlotte history. All right, let's get right over to Majestic. You had some problems. What's the status now?
A couple things going on. Here's my traffic map. I want to show you exactly where I'm talking about. It's going to be south of Uptown here where we have a stalled vehicle. Not just that, but it's all lanes that are blocked because of an Amazon truck that has all the lanes being impacted here. South Tryon Street inbound at General Drive, backed up to Carowinds. Traffic is trying to get by slowly but surely. Again, here's a picture of it. Keep this in mind as you're heading out the door.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. If you're just now waking up with us, a WCNC weather impact alert issued for this weekend. Chris Mulcahy joined us right now with some of those updated snow totals, talking about between 4 and 7 inches, Chris. Woo.
I know, crazy, right? Because the last time that we even had close to 4 inches, so the bottom mark that I have was back in 2018, January 2018. We had back-to-back weeks that we had some snowfalls. And then the times that we even had close to 6 to 7 inches, well, it was an astronomical storm where we saw over 11 inches of snow. That was back in 2004. So yeah, it's been a minute. And our wind chills ranging anywhere from 5 to 10. So this is one of my one thing graphics that we do on WCNC Charlotte, but it really just wraps everything up exactly what we're looking at. So I have brought up our snow totals compared to where we were yesterday. And you're looking at anywhere from 4 to 7 inches pretty much for the areas of blue. But I want to show you the tricky part of the forecast. For one, you have a meso low is what it's called. So pretty much like an upper level low is a better way I think to describe it in layman's terms. Moves in over our area, and then you have a tremendous amount of snow here. But then meanwhile, there's another low pressure system, a coastal low, that's going to cause beach erosion, wind gusts up to near hurricane strength of 75 miles per hour. And they could potentially, right in this swath, have 10 to 12 inches for their max totals with a general 7 to 9. But in between those two systems, that's why I kind of have these little clefts here. That is allowing for a chance for a break, a little bit drier air in between the two systems. So that's the tricky part. So areas east, I would say from Wadesboro over to the Richmond area down to Florence. It's this area that you're the only ones I think could see the biggest bust as far as the forecast goes. Meanwhile, for us, here around the Charlotte area, 4 to 7 looks to be a good bet, where I'm actually seeing some of these showing that our boom is more closer to 10 inches of snow. So I'm not going that aggressive, but I'm letting you know 4 to 7 inches, that looks to be a really good range. Even close to that 5 to 7 is what we're mainly going to see either side of the I-85 and the I-77 corridor through Mecklenburg County specifically. If we're busting, if I completely messed it up, I'm talking about 2 inches minimum. That shows really the substantial forecast as far as what snow is how much snow we're going to see. But then 8 inches, that's not out of the realm of possibility. Because what's going to be tricky about this system is that we're going to have bands of snow that are heavier than others. And it's already starting to set up. All that energy to the north is now starting to move its way closer into the Charlotte area. That is also associated with some very cold air. That eventually is going to start to rotate and spiral. So let me break it down for you. Here's what it looks like. And this is what we're seeing over the next 60 hours or so. So today, don't worry about it. There's some breaks in the clouds all in all. So you are going to see a chance for maybe a little bit of bright spots really south of I-85 heading into the afternoon. So it might be a little tricky. Hey, look at, there's the sun, doo-doo-doo, and then there you go. It's going to move right out by the time you get to the evening hours, and the sun's setting at that point anyways, and don't really expect the sun to come back out until Sunday because we have snow all day long. The only thing that's going to save us from these higher snow totals is if dry air eats up some of it and then we don't have snow last as long. But watch this. By 3 a.m., we're starting to see it take over. By 6 o'clock, 6 a.m., that's where you're seeing substantial snow, especially west of I-77, taking over the area, but then still measured that Rockingham area over to Wadesboro, Cheraw, also Bennettsville, shout out. That's going to be right in that little area that you're going to see a little bit of dry air in between the two systems. That's where the most uncertainty is. But one thing that is certain, we have snow for hours, even sunrise to sunset at least here in the Charlotte area. Even if you put a baseline, doing some quick math, it's only a 1/4 inch per hour. Multiply that by 12, that's at least 3 inches for the lower end. But you're going to see more than that because there's going to be some bursts that are going to allow for up to a 1/2 to 1 inch per hour. So that's why I think it's realistically, I have 4 to 7 inches that some could see a lot more. But it's also tricky because it could look like a lot more because what the numbers that you're seeing on your screen aren't temperatures. They're actually wind speeds. So you could have wind gusts anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour, blowing it around, making it feel miserable. That's one thing that I want you to take home for this forecast is that yes, you're absolutely right. It's a great day for playing in the snow. But what's not great is when you have the kids out for hours and those are the wind chills. This is 10 a.m. on Saturday, feeling like 4 to 8 degrees. By 8 p.m., it still feels like 6 to 11. So with those wind gusts, and you're not going to have them all day, at times the wind's not going to be blowing where you're at, but when you're directly in the wind, it will feel at least like the single digits to the preteens, which is not great. So that's why I just worded the wise. Maybe you want to temper your time outside because this is not that typical, hey, it's snowing, it's perfectly calm. The winds will be howling at times, which will also lower visibility. visibilities, that does add to another element. But hey, there's still a lot of fun that comes along with this as well. Likely because of the snow, we're staying below freezing. This is one thing that could change. Temperatures are at freezing, maybe getting slightly above, but this is the number I'm focusing on. 7 degrees on Monday morning. Temperatures either side of 40, back to the 40s, and then we have a big question mark for our next winter system on Wednesday and Thursday. But let's one thing at a time. We'll leave that one until we get to Monday. So stay safe, stay prepared, and get ready for that cold and that snow, which, Majestic, I know a lot of people are excited about.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe not the cold, but here we go. Want to let you know about a few things that I am watching as you're heading out the door this morning. Here's our area of roadways. Most of us were all in the green, but one spot is right here, just south of I-485. All lanes are blocked right here by an Amazon truck across all lanes. Traffic is squeezing by slowly. You can see the colors right here. South Tryon Street, inbound lanes really be impacted at General Drive back to Carowinds Boulevard. So keep this in mind. This is a picture of it that I just got into my traffic inbox. You can see the Amazon truck right there and the delays that are building as people are heading out the door this morning. Meanwhile, if you take I-85, this is what mile marker 33 looks like. Nice and dry area roadways out at Billy Graham. Not seeing any problems. We'll give you another update on weather and traffic coming up soon. Guys.
Majestic, thanks. Well, this morning power crews are in prep mode once again.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning in West Charlotte to share how 2 energy companies are working to keep the lights on. Destiny.
That's right. Both Duke Energy and Blue Ridge Energy say snow will be much easier to deal with than ice, but there will still be challenges when it comes to the strong winds that we're expecting, and especially with it being a storm so close to the one we had last weekend. Now, energy crews across our area say they have been getting ready, restocking supplies and getting their equipment ready ahead of the weekend. Duke Energy says tree limbs may already be weakened from the last winter storm, and high winds could bring them down. In the foothills and mountains, Blue Ridge Energy says they're preparing for what comes after the snow falls.
We are good to go. We just sort of been in a state of readiness since that storm, and then kind of continue that over into this week now that we know that this storm was on the way. What we're looking for after the storm are the strong winds on the backside, so that could push some trees over. So obviously making sure chainsaws are ready, trucks are ready to go in the snow.
Both companies say if you can stay home, that helps everyone. And while you're at home, they recommend sealing off any drafts, using space heaters carefully, and setting your thermostat a little lower, but still comfortable to save energy. They say many snow-related outages happen not because of the weather, but vehicles sliding into utility poles. So stay off the roads if you can, especially so crews can go out and do their jobs safely and efficiently. Live in West Charlotte, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
Destiny, thank you for that. Now, while we are preparing for snow tomorrow, many folks in across North Carolina still clearing out from last weekend's storm, the lingering effects of that.
We know the responsibility falls on the homeowner for their property, but what about renters? Tanya Rivera explains.
The snow and the sleet, it stopped falling several days ago, but still, this is what the sidewalk looks like at my coworker's apartment complex in Greensboro. And this over here, this is the parking lot. The walkways, the parking lot, nothing's been touched. It's a slushy, icy, and dangerous mess. North Carolina requires a landlord to provide what's called a fit premises. In fact, the statute reads, keep all common areas of the premises in safe condition. What it doesn't spell out is a timeline or how to make that happen.
There's no law you have to plow. There's no law you have to put down ice melt. But the law is you have to keep common areas reasonably safe and passable. Landlords are allowed a reasonable time and reasonable expectations depending on the condition.
Attorney David Daggett says reasonable isn't defined. It depends on the circumstances of what another landlord would reasonably do under similar circumstances. But that doesn't mean that you, the tenant, can't make a reasonable request for information about the conditions and when they will be fixed. It can be as simple as a text or an email to the office manager or the property owners.
They can contact the regional or local housing authority. They can, complain. document those complaints in writing. At some point, you could be entitled to some abatement of rent or other charges if the landlord is not doing their duty.
In some triad cities, there's an additional snow ordinance. For example, this is the city of Greensboro. It has an ordinance that talks about the removal of ice and snow. It even says that the landlord should remove it by 10 o'clock each day. I got to tell you, though, this ordinance really has no teeth. No city department enforces this. Snow removal is seen as a private matter between landlord and tenant. So here's my suggestion to you. Get with those other tenants and make some noise. You need to email, you need to text your office manager or your property owner. You need to put those complaints in writing.
Tanya Rivera with that report. Layoffs are sweeping through some of the country's biggest companies, and the list keeps growing. What this means for workers and who could be next, that's ahead. And a reminder that Scouting for Food starts tomorrow. For 34 years, WCNC Charlotte has partnered with the Scouts for this event. Tomorrow and into next week, and maybe this will be affected because of the weather, but at some time over the next few days, Scouts are going to be dropping off those door tags to homes across the area. Now, if you get one, that means the Scouts will be back on Saturday, February 7th to pick up your donation. If you don't get a door tag, you can still help. Just text Scout for Food to 50155 to make a donation. .44 now, and back-to-back announcements. Amazon is signaling another shift. The company says it's cutting 16,000 positions while also shutting down Amazon Fresh and Go stores across the country. In Seattle, the impact could be significant. Christian Balderas has more from the hometown of the major company.
It's official. Amazon is scaling back and the uncertainty is real for workers. One employee posted on TikTok talking about the anxiety leading up to today's announcement.
So nothing happened. No layoff emails, no text messages at 3 a.m. But I think that just means that it will happen tomorrow.
In a message to staff, Amazon said the cuts are aimed at reducing layers, increasing ownership, and removing bureaucracy. While the company has not publicly specified which business units will be impacted or where the job cuts will occur, this could have a ripple effect throughout Seattle's downtown economy.
When it's a hometown
company that is laying off people, you're always trying to figure out how it's going to impact the city of Seattle.
Councilmember Joy Hollingsworth says it'll be months before the impact is clear.
You also think about the ripple effect of that person that might lose their job not coming downtown anymore, and are they spending $10, $15 on lunch and parking and all these pieces that play into the economy.
The layoffs come just one day after the company abruptly announced it's closing all Amazon Fresh and Go stores nationwide, impacting over 400 workers in Western Washington.
Wow, my niece works for Amazon Fresh.
In Hollingsworth's district, the closure of one Amazon Fresh means there's no longer a major grocery store in the neighborhood.
There's really nothing around here that offers what they do.
Still, city leaders, including Hollingsworth, aren't wavering in their support of Washington's biggest employer. In a statement, Seattle's deputy mayor said, Seattle remains proud of its long-standing partnership with Amazon, and we are committed to supporting Amazon's long-term presence in Seattle.
All right, that was Christian Balderas with that report. Layoffs are growing across the country, adding to workers' anxiety in an already sluggish job market. Several other major companies have announced significant cuts, including UPS, Verizon, Nestle, and Microsoft. Many of these businesses cite rising costs, new tariffs, and shifting investments toward artificial intelligence as reasons for reducing staff. It's a wave of cutbacks that's reshaping the job landscape for millions of Americans. Well, just into our newsroom, President Trump says on social media he is nominating Kevin Warsh to replace Jerome Powell as Federal Reserve Chair. Powell's term ends in May. Warsh is a former inflation hawk who now favors lower interest rates, according to a number of public statements that he's made in recent months. He's also called for overhauling the central bank's workforce. The Senate Banking Committee would consider his nomination, though he would have to be approved by the full Senate in order to get that position. He would need to be confirmed. 2025 was the most difficult year for Tesla since it became profitable 6 years ago. Tesla announced its adjusted income fell 46% for the year. The company also posted its largest ever fourth quarter sales volume drop. The brand's reputation took a hit partly because of Elon Musk's political activities. Tesla also faces increased competition from other automakers. It's a change for the company, as it was once the fastest growing and most profitable automaker in the world. Chris?
Our snow probabilities continue to climb on up. Yeah, 100% chance we see 1 inch. Pretty much 100% chance you're seeing 2. I think 2 to 3 is really the bottom line here. And then 4 to 7 is what we're going with. However, there's still a 50-50 shot, and that is high in the weather world, that some of us here in the Charlotte area could have over 8 inches of snow. That is unreal. As I mentioned, this is the biggest snowfall that we potentially have seen since 2004. Wow. Plan accordingly. I'll have your full forecast as well as the cold watch that's in effect right after the snow is done falling.
This is Larry Sprinkle. The big question, what to do, where to go in the Charlotte area, anytime, any day. We're talking about the Museum of Illusions right in the middle of uptown Charlotte. The Museum of Illusions offering all kinds of interesting perspectives for anybody who goes there. It's amazing what they call edutainment, featuring over 60 special interactive exhibits that challenge perception at the Museum of Illusions at 601 South Tryon Street near the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Open 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday every week. Check it out. Some of the things you can see and do at the Museum of Illusions for everybody, the whole family. The Museum of Illusions, that's what you can do right here in the Charlotte area. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
Yeah, the big question, what might be on people's minds, is what's going to be open this weekend, because we're at the chance of major weather impacts. I think a lot of local businesses might be like, no, we're not going to come in today. So keep that in mind if you are planning on traveling, which is not advised. However, a lot of us still have work, places that you're going to have to be at. Well, the weather is going to be that extreme only because of how long this system is going to last. And looking at some of our snowfall potential, these numbers have come down a little bit. So I was looking at this morning, but it still keeps us in that 4 to 7 inch range, just less, closer to 7, averaging out to more of that 5 inch plus mark. So still have a forecast of 4 to 7 inches. But the bust potential, say if too much dry air moves in, all of a sudden we don't have as long of a snow event, still 2 inches, and that's still pretty sizable. It just would be half of our bottom range that we're seeing here. But I would not be surprised if a thin layer of some of that heavier snow rate starts setting up within the bands. That would be 8+ inches from place to place. So one thing that is for sure, it's going to be cold afterwards. That snow doesn't help that, but we actually have an active extreme cold watch across the area. But that's different depending where you live. If you live in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County, this means that it's going to feel like 0 or less on Saturday night heading into Sunday. A 0 wind chill, -5 from Lincoln up to Statesville. And if you're in the mountains, you only have one of these criteria for an extreme cold warning when it's 15 below or less. Check out our wind chills. One thing that you're not factoring in, and if you are, I apologize, didn't mean to couple you into this group, is that Saturday, everyone's so excited about the snow, but you're not realizing it. It's going to feel like on and off 5 to 10 degrees above 0, luckily, throughout the day, because you're going to have some gusts upwards to about 30 miles per hour. So at times where you're not getting the direct wind, it's not going to feel that bad. Lower to the mid-20s. Snow will make you happy, but it will feel on and off like 5 to 10 throughout your Saturday. Here's where we get into that extreme cold warning. -1 Charlotte, -4, 4 below around Lincoln, 25 below around Boone. Keep that in mind because the effects of fresh snow are substantial. That's why I have a low of 7 degrees. Yes, 7 degrees heading into Monday. That's Groundhog Day, by the way, the midpoint of winter. That would be the coldest Groundhog Day in Charlotte history. Okay, hopefully we don't have the slowest traffic in Charlotte history. See what's going on with Majestic.
Let's get to it. Good morning, everyone. If you're just waking up and joining us, a couple things to let you know about. I don't have anything significant happening right now, but this is on I-85 southbound. It's the off-ramp as we're getting onto exit 38. This will be a problematic spot. I'm not seeing a lot of colors with it, so that's always good news. Maybe just a couple of minutes for that delay. This one here is closer to uptown. I'm seeing colors coming in all directions, meaning that we do have those impacts. Here is Hawthorne Lane westbound at Central Ave. I've been following this for over 30 minutes, still not completely cleared. And then the third one to let you know about, this is on Queens Road at East 3rd Street. This is an accident that will cause a bit of a delay. They've mentioned it's about a 5-minute delay there. Those are the 3 most important things you need to know before you go. Otherwise, I'm not seeing any problems right now on I-85. Guys.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much for that. Well, we are going to take a quick break and make sure that you keep it right here, streaming on WCNC Plus. Coming up at the top of the hour, Majestic is going to join Jane in our Live Impact studio, continuing to talk about this weather alert weekend that we have with significant snow coming to our area, perhaps more than we've seen in a decade here in the Charlotte area. And then later, they're going to be talking with the Vice President of the Civics with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce about the National Civics Bee. That and more streaming live here on WCNC Plus.
Okay, plain and simple. Today, not a bad day. High temperatures right around 40 degrees. Wish we had more sunshine, clouds, all in all, but then here it comes. We're looking at snow most of the day tomorrow, 4 to 7 inches when all is said and done, and then 7 to 9 around the I-95 corridor. But one thing to mention are wind chills, feeling anywhere from about 5 to 10 degrees on and off throughout the afternoon. And following all the snow, we will have an extreme cold warning because that's a goose egg. It could be feeling like 0 to -5 across the Charlotte area, even 25 below up in the Boone area. So that's why we are a weather impact alert for not just Saturday's snow, but also the cold that follows. It could be a lot of black ice and 7 degrees. 7. That would be the coldest February 2nd or Groundhog Day in Charlotte history. After that, we have the 40s. And yes, another chance of wintry mix Wednesday to Thursday. Majestic, we're all hoping for spring.
Absolutely. All right. Got to let you know about a couple of things as you're heading out the door for your Friday morning commute. We have slow moving traffic on I-77 coming in from Lake Norman, of course. But we're also following this. This is something new. We have an accident on I-85 southbound. It's the off ramp to I-77 right around exit 38. Another one here is near Uptown. It's Hawthorne Lane at Central Ave. Slow moving conditions there as well. Hope you have a great day.